We are back. Jamie Wren, Daryl Carter, Dave from Cheltmental to review the final day of the 2020 Cheltenham Festival. It's the Friday. It's the pinnacle of the week, I suppose, in the Gold Cup. Got some cracking undercard as well. We'll start off with the first race, the Triumph Hurdle. It's one of those that you don't have too many runs under your belt if you're going to come in and win a Triumph necessarily. You don't even have to come in here unbeaten. You can get beaten in races. The Irish ones that come in here and do well typically will run at the Dublin Racing Festival, and that tends to be a real good form line for those coming in. I've only had one play in this race now. I had backed a couple of horses a long way out. Mick Pastor and Homer, who have both been trashed since. I managed to get out of those. But I've got on to All Mankind now. I was so impressed with his win at Chepstow. It's just, I know he's obviously a head case, he's loose and all that sort of stuff. I just think at this point he'd be the only horse I'd be interested in backing. There's a few names that go about with some other horses. Rayapor for the McNeils that's gone over to Willie Mullins, and there'll be no doubt some others that come out. Aspire Tower was nice over in Ireland as well. Given the fact that it is 7-1 the field for this Triumph market, it just does go to show that it sort of unravels over the next couple of months before the festival. But yeah, from what I've seen so far this season, All Mankind looks like a serious horse. But there's a little thing in the back of my mind that just hopes that something better is going to come out of the woodwork. I just don't know what it is yet. So, Daryl, is there anything that's caught your eye here?
Well, All Mankind, I think it's been impressive. The form's standing up really well. I'm quite a big fan of this Aspire Tower, you know. I think he's quite a powerful sort. The way he did it at Leopardstown on Boxing Day was impressive. Upheld the form of Wolf Prince. I think he's a pretty decent horse. I haven't really got a selection for this race at the moment, but I would just air concerns about Goshen. Now, Goshen looked an absolute beast, but what I will just say is if you go back and watch his debut run at Fontwell, he just jumps markedly to his right-hand side. Now, I could have forgiven that for his second run at Sandown. He won by 34 lengths, really impressively, on a right-handed track, and he still was jumping to his right. That is going to be a big concern. The other concern would be he's going to have competition for the lead in here. And if he does that and he hasn't got the lead, he is going to be in a bit of trouble. And I think despite him looking like a monster, I think 7-1 is pretty short, given those factors, because you're going to have the likes of Aspire Tower, All Mankind. I think he has to lead All Mankind, which would be a slight negative. Yeah. But I think in terms of the strength and depth of form, it's about All Mankind should be a runaway favourite for this for me at the moment. The other one in here I do like who's got back form with All Mankind is Botox Has. Now that horse was behind All Mankind on debut, but improved dramatically. He improved next time for his jump in, for everything, and he was just given a lot to do on debut behind All Mankind. Now I kind of got the sense that they were just giving him a bit of education. They weren't there to win the race, whereas All Mankind sort of, you know, they tactically were excellent and they were there to win the race. I expect Botox Has to improve again, but he does need to come out here. But he is 25-1 in places. And I think that's quite big for a Gary Moore, considering his other runner, Goshen, is, although he's been really impressive, is a short of 7-1, considering he's got that negative where he jumps out to the right. I just think Botox should be shorter in the market than what he is. But apart from that, that's about it for me in this. The flat runners that are entered in this are obviously interesting. Beatboxer, Eminence. They all look types that could take to a hurdle. But without seeing them, it's hard to give any sort of opinion on them just yet. I don't know where you stand, Jamie.
Be interested with the British runners. Obviously got the Adonis, haven't they, at Kempton the same day as I'd expect, or I'd hope that Goshen would go in there against some better horses. It's still going the same way round. Maybe we'll see him again to see what he does. Yeah, I'm not sold on him at all. I know he's won by miles, but I do think
he's a very good horse. I think he's a powerful horse. It concerns me the jump into the right. It really does. It has
to, doesn't it? And then obviously we've got the Spring Juvenile as well. That's the Irish main one that's going to come out. So Eric obviously won that last year. We had Mr. Adjudicator and Farclas the year before. Farclas obviously reversed that form. Tends to be some really nice line into it. there probably could be, well, there will be horses that we haven't seen out yet that are coming out. But Jamie, what do you make of the race up to now?
Yeah, I don't think you've seen the winner yet, Dave. To be honest with you, I really, I asked Bart, does he need soft ground? You know, he looks like a bull of a horse. He looks like a 3-mile chaser. All Mankind, can you really see All Mankind and Gosling going from the front? They probably take each other on and cut each other's throats and set it up for someone else. But the horse I was given to start the year is for Willie Mullins, Micromanage, one on the flat car there by 12 lengths, and still waiting for him. I heard a word for this Ray Apor. I thought Fraser Island was impressive at Newbury. I really did. There's always talking horses and type of races, I think. You have to wait to see it. Every single year, it just annoys me. Now, there's a new Racing Pros show that what a shout they have, right? And they had Harry Cobden on the last day. But every year, right, they have a Johnny Delahaye horse that's talked up to the nines and does absolutely nothing. And this is his solo, is it? He's 23 to mine. Now, he's obviously probably going to run the Adonis first time out and then go straight to the Triumph. You're better off waiting to the Spring Juvenile and the Adonis. Yeah. But I was given Micromanage, and hopefully I'll see him first time out in the Spring Juvenile. I'm waiting for this horse for a long time, and I just want to see how. But after that, say 2 weeks later, I got a text from Ray Apor waiting for this horse to run it out, but you haven't seen him. So Willie Mullins might hold the key to it, but you're just better off waiting till these two, the Adonis and the Spring Juvenile, and then you decide in after that.
Absolutely.
But if I was putting up a horse at the moment, I wouldn't really. I'd just wait for those two races.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And then Micromanage, so there was a comment that he'd done something to the leg as well. I don't think his was a break, but he is supposed to be back this season. So like we say, the Spring Juveniles when they normally come out. The interesting thing with stuff like that for the anti-post perspective is obviously we'll get the entries out, but once the horses are finally declared, that tends to be maybe the best time to maybe have a little bit of a nibble on them. Even after the race, the prices can change, but it is very typical that a juvenile winner might not have won last time out. I know lots of them do come here after winning, but it's not the be-all and end-all. If a horse is running first time out in something like the Spring Juvenile and it gets beat, as long as it's run well enough, it shouldn't really be putting you off.
Just a quick one. I missed some of that. I think Micromanaged, I've heard that he's out for the season. It's not. Don't say that's possible, but I'm pretty sure that's what I heard.
Yeah. Well, again, that reiterates the fact that we're at this point now where, like Jamie said, we probably haven't even seen the winner of it yet. But judged on what we have seen, the market looks probably where it should be with it. We'll just wait and see what happens in those two key trials. The Spring Juvenile is the one I'm probably more interested in, just given the fact that the horses that have run in it before tend to look a bit better than the stuff we see over here. Although Fuser Raffles, obviously, when he ran first onto the scene for the Triumph market, didn't he? But so close to the festival that he gets that cut, don't get enough time to recover. Anywho, on to the second race of the Friday, the County Hurdle. Anything we like in here?
Yeah, I like it too. Well, obviously, I said Sir Glowy. I'd be interested if he came up here. The two I have in my head for this on top of him is, if you look back last year, I always pick out horses that run in the Galway Hurdle. You love that step up little finish there at Galway. Same thing as Cheltenham, really, but it's whatever. The Galway Hurdle was ran very slow this year, right? And how the Tudor City win it, I'll never know. That horse is the biggest over-the-top horse. I can't believe he won it. They went so slow, and Band of Outlaws still finished third. Now, Band of Outlaws, to me, needs a good end-to-end gallop. His next flat horse, obviously, was a mile on the flat. You never think he'd actually win at Cheltenham, but he did. I think he's been waited for this race all year. And there's a horse that I like that's coming back from Ollie Murphy's. Hasn't been priced up yet, and you might laugh, but I give Thomas, if he ran here, Thomas Darby would have an awful chance. I think if the faster they go, the better he'll be. If you look back at his maiden hurdle at Cheltenham, the one he won at the October meeting there last year, the race was 3 seconds, I think, in my head. I'm not 100% sure. It was 3 seconds under standard. They went so fast that day. He obviously needs to be plotted on the line. Now, he obviously have no chance of a soft ground. I think the quicker they go, the faster they go. Good ground. Richard Johnson will bury him in the field, and you won't see him to come to the last flight. I think back over hurdle, he'll have a match there, but he's not priced up yet, so you can't really have a selection. But if I was to have a selection at the moment against the field, it would be Saglawi and Band of Outlaws. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. And Thomas Darby, I think we mentioned that again before the Christmas period, that he does look like he was going to revert back over hurdles anyway. 151 he's rated, isn't he? So maybe, well, you'd like to think they'll get running into him before the festival. If things don't go so well there, he might get dropped a few pounds. That could be an interesting one. I quite liked, I mean, this is ridiculous, but I quite liked Never Adapt. The fact that she'll creep in, well, she might probably even be out of the handicap of 130, but they've obviously got the option. Maybe they could run in a handicap before. I just think there was enough to like about the way that she ran the last day to think the £2 rise would be manageable. The fact that we haven't seen her since, just feel like they might be targeting something here. I'd be interested in her, but like I say, I do think she'll probably end up out of the handicap. So maybe we'll see her before. Maybe she can run well and go up a couple of pounds. What do you fancy, Daryl?
Exactly the same. I've got my eye firmly on Never Adapt for this. I think this horse is a proper horse. I really do. I just think she's got her quirks, but I think she's a proper serious horse. You just got to go back. I thought she ran well enough, even though I was on, because I thought bloody handicap mark was ridiculously low. She's just done too much to her too soon. I think, yeah, if they go this route, I can see her winning the handicap, but on the route to this, and that would be the ideal situation. But, you know, this is a Dan Skelton race, isn't it? So it'll be interesting to see what Dan Skelton chucks in here, because he's just got such a fantastic record in this race. Never underestimate Dan Skelton in the county hurdle.
Well, exactly that. And then there's always these...
Superb story. Up your boy.
Oh, that was the one, wasn't it? Absolutely axed up that. That was the first one. I never really used to bet in the handicaps at Cheltenham, but my old man had a visit to Charlie Mann's, and we were told that Superb Story would go very close in the county hurdle. And that was one of the festival years where I didn't go on the Friday. And I remember we were sat in a pub watching Superb Story going, and we told quite a few people to back that. That was a beauty of a day. But yeah, you're right. They're the sort of ones, because we've still got 3 months now until the race is going off. The plots won't have finished for all of these horses yet, so there's still plenty to find out with the handicaps, really, I think. So we'll go on to the Albert Bartlett. I love this race. Like ridiculously fall in love with this race. Mainly because, I'm not notorious for backing big price winners, but the price differential in this race compared to other races is just balmy sometimes. It's madness, considering that although for like official ratings and in terms of class of a novice hurdler, Supreme and Ballymore are always superior. You still get, I think the average official rating of a horse that wins this race is still like 146. They're still good horses that are winning this. And because of the fact that you get horses that are moving away from like a Ballymore distance, like if Time Hill came here or if the Big Breakaway came here, they wouldn't be coming here because this is their optimum trip. This is the optimum prep for seasons going forward. They might just be coming here because they might not be good enough to go and win a Ballymore. So I always get really excited about this. We know for a fact you can leave this probably until the day to pick a winner. There's not necessarily too much value to be had a while out. I did say when I did my first anti-post preview that Fury Road was way too big a price when he was 33 to 1. He's shortening up now. The fact that he is still 12 to 1, given what he's already done, just makes you realise that there probably is going to be something that's going to come out and maybe beat him. Latest exhibition, I also mentioned that. As it was a big price, 50 to 1 before he ran against Andy Dufresne. Just thought that it wouldn't surprise me if he went close, and he's only going to get better when he steps up in trip. Midnight Run's looked quite good this season. But again, it's one of those I feel like you can wait until nearer the day, probably even on the day, to pick yourself a big price winner in here. There's one horse at a balmy price. I just need to double check on the name. Mud Runner, I think it is, who is a full brother to a previous Albert Bartlett winner. Now, it's balmy enough using that as a line in, but he made his debut over hurdles for Henry de Bromhead back in November. It was a reasonable price, but if you get the chance to go back and watch the race and you haven't seen it before, it was over 2 miles, and this horse just stayed on from a long way out. Now, as I say, it's a bit of a tedious, or like a tenuous link in the fact that it's a full brother to a previous winner of the Ballymore, the Albert Bartlett, but 66 to 1, wild price, we see it quite often. It was Weapons Amnesty was the one that won the Albert Bartlett before, so he'd be one that's on my radar that I don't think many other people would be thinking about. We'd want to see him run again. We talk about battle hardiness for this race, but I do get really excited about it. I just think I'm happy to wait until the day for it to pick something out. The year that I backed Kilbrick and Storm to win this, I backed him at 25 to 1 anti-post, and he was 40 to 1 on the day. So, what I mean, you got to pick your battles with this anti-post punting, and Albert Bartlett's one you can probably save it for a bit. So, Darren, anything you like in here?
I think you summed it up pretty well. There's loads I like in here, to be honest, and there's loads at appealing prices. Coconut Splash. I like Big Shark for Philip Hobbs. I think that's a decent horse. He seems like an Albert Bartlett type to me. Eden DeHoo, King Roland. There's just Severano. There's so many horses at the moment that you can like for this race. There is no way in hell I'd be taking 10 to 1 on Time Hill for this. This is just a messy race that is worth waiting for on the day. And I know we're doing a bit of a preview and we need to put selections up, but I mean, Enrillo, if it gets deep ground, Enrillo screams Albert Bartlett type to me as well. Just there's loads of horses in here that you can really make a case for already at this time of the season. So wait for this race, leave it alone. Like you say, we've had so many big price winners of this. I think 50 to 1, 33 to 1, 16s, 11s, 14s, 33s are the last winners of this since 2014. So, you know, you're going to get a decent horse at a decent price in this race. So I wouldn't touch this until the day, regardless of how much I fancied one, because there's just so many that people like. The money that this race is going to take, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to flip.
And it's balmy as well, because there will be performances that come up. So like I say, with Fury Road, he's been mopping up, does look the real deal. Probably, arguably, on what he's done already, could afford to be shorter in it. But because you can sort of make yourself like lean towards a horse from a long way out, that you end up not looking at other races with as much of a sort of open opinion. And that's why things like the Allaho thing last year, the reason I mentioned Manila Indo more than anything else was Henry de Bromhead came out after the Allaho race and just said, if you think Allaho's good, then how good was Manila Indo for doing all the donkey work for him? Little things like that, and you watch the race back and you think, actually, to be fair to him, it had to do all the donkey work. It was a small field, all those bits and pieces. So although it got beat, you could see it not necessarily reversed before, but you could see it being closer. Allaho on the day was 6 to 1. Manila Indo was 50 to 1. The price is just wrong. You not necessarily fancy it for form, but the price is there, isn't it?
Yeah, the one thing I'd just pick up on Fury Road was at Limerick over Christmas. I just felt that he was travelling and he was giving off the vibe that he had so much left until he clattered that last hurdle. Yeah, and all of a sudden, push come to shove, and he was working very, very hard to get the job done there. I'm not entirely sure he had as much left as the impression he was trying to give off. So I know that was heavy ground, but that would just... I'm glad he hit that last hurdle, because up to that point, he had looked a bit of a monster.
Yeah, and I said the same.
A bit of mobility about him there. So I'll be leaving the 10s alone. I know you're on a big price, but wait till the day for this. Yeah,
and I did think exactly the same with the Fury Road thing. The fact that he looked like, if he'd have not hit the last, he'd have won on the bridle. And he looked like he had loads left, didn't he? The fact that he hit it, I expected him to quick and clear all those bits and pieces. So you're spot on to bring that up. Jamie, anything you like in here?
I did like Fury Road till the last night. You took the words out of my mouth. Is there anything left? I think really if the big breakaway ran here, I'd be very interested in. But there's one I like. I know he beat Andy Dufresne last day, but he looked like an out-and-out plotter to me. That's the latest exhibition. He seemed to be going and going and going and going, and that's what you need for this race. No matter how good you are, might not be the best horse in the race wins this race, but year on year, it's a plotter. Keep going and keep going. That day against Andy Dufresne up the Navan Hill, he just kept going, and even if Andy Dufresne tried to come back at him at the last, he kept going and going. I think he's a cracking bet. He trades 16 to 1. At the moment, he'd be my selection, but you'd have to wait till the day. I wouldn't be. I don't like it, this race. Ever since Boston Bob got beat by Brindisi Breeze, I hated the race ever since.
And it's one of them as well. The good thing about the reason I like the Outbar is because I like an anti-post punt. A few years ago, I used to get on side with a few horses because you can get them at wild prices for this sort of race. You'll be struggling to pick a supreme winner at sort of 66 to 1 a long way out. Whereas with the Albert Bartlett, you can see the types. Loads of them start over 2 miles. Loads of them just don't look good enough in other sort of company. But as the years have gone by, it's bad to see pleasure in other people's pain, but the amount of like shorties that get steamed into death duty when he was put up as the banker of the festival, that sort of stuff, and you're looking at them and just thinking, it's a terrible, terrible price with respect to the race, in a pretty terrible race, to be honest. This isn't the Supreme or the Ballymore. This isn't a race that potentially is going to give you future festival winner after future festival winner. I know there's been some nice ones that have come out of it, but it's just the stuff towards the head of the market just kills me. And the Time Hill stuff this season, the amount of people that have been putting this up for the Albert Bartlett even months ago. I mean, to be fair to the horse, I don't think he is like top grade, and this might be a sensible place to go with him. But I don't think he wants this trip. And he just won the Challow Hurdle. Let him go in a Ballymore. Let him come third in there. Because probably for him, that's probably the place that he should be going. But it winds me up. On to, I mean, this is my second favourite race of the festival, just after the Mares Novices Chase. I mean, it'll be relegated to third when they bring the Mares Chase in, but it's the Fox Hunters. Everyone loves the Fox Hunters, right?
Hey, do you remember I tipped up the winner of this last year?
Hazel Hill.
Hazel Hill. Can you believe that?
You did well, mate. And to be fair, it won it nice, didn't it? It did everything it needed to do. The only thing I've heard mentioned for this is Bob and Co, because I might be wrong. Is that Maxwell's horse, and that's the one that he said is going to run here? Something And so that's the only bit I've heard. But I cannot stand this race as a better medium. I can't really stand it as a spectacle. It's good for the jockeys to get the chance to ride in it. I backed Salsify the year that he won it. I think it must have been the second year he won it when, what's the name? Gina Andrews, maybe? The girl that got chucked off over the
Jane Mangan. Jane Mangan.
And
the one with the earplugs in when she's talking in Racing UK. If she actually smiled, her face would crack, like, that one. Like, he's someone on every race, right? And you feel like saying, well, you fell off the horse, love. Get off Racing UK, like. Get off Racing. I'm like, she's terrible. I thought Kate Harrington was bad, right? She is 10 times worse. She just drives me insane, like. And if she smiled, oh my God, I think I'll fall over and smile myself.
But that was the only time I backed a Fox Hunters winner. I told a lot of people to back it. I was a bit more amateur in my approach back in those days, but a guy on a train told me that Salsify can't lose to the Fox Hunters. And considering it's not a race I particularly look at, I thought, you know what, his word's good enough for me.
I backed him the first year he won. Yeah, I was told he'd win the first year. He was 8-1 the first year, and he threw. But thank God she fell off the horse. I'm like, we're inside in the barn. They have a big draw in the barn. It's $5,000 to the winner, and Jesus Christ, the place erupted. If you go onto YouTube, there's a pub in Cork, right? There's where Salsify, where Jane Mangan fell off. The whole pub got up and just cheered for about 10 minutes afterwards. Like, it's brilliant. Thank God she fell off.
But it's one of those, isn't it? That like that's the only way I feel like I'm going to get a winner in this race. That I'll have to just listen to a random drunk guy on a train, and the horse in front will need to fall off of it. So, Darryl, as you are the Fox Hunters expert, anything you like this far out?
Hazel Hill.
Nice. Go with the same.
This is a race that I'll look at the Albert Bartlett before I look at this race.
Oh God, that is low, then, isn't it? So we can move on from the Fox Hunters. I'm sure there'll be an opinion.
Whoa! Didn't John Joe O'Neill says one horse is going in this race from the start of the year? A horse that finished second in the Gold Cup on Spanish time.
Oh, Ed Wolf.
No. I'm very disappointed with him the last day. Forget about him now. Manila Rocco.
Manila Rocco.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bit of good ground in Manila Rocco. Derek O'Connor steering up.
Get out of it.
Yeah, if Manila Rocco turned up on good ground, I'd be very interested. But after that, wait till the day.
You need to learn your lesson, mate. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, we'll leave that one. It's interesting because of the qualification process for it as well. Every year the anti-post book comes up, and there's horse after horse that's not even qualified to run in the race. So you can pinch a tiny bit of value for the race, but you really do want to be just waiting until the final declarations have come in at least.
The Grand Annual winner, go on.
No, we've got the Gold Cup first.
Gold Cup first, son.
Gold Cup, fair enough.
He can't wait, can he? He's so excited.
Well, anyone that's watched all of the episodes has been waiting about 5 hours to see it. Anyone watching this episode has only been waiting half an hour. So the Gold Cup, we've got to get through it. It is a race every single year that I struggle to have a really strong opinion in it. It's always a class race. There's no getting away from it. The best horse most of the time wins on the day. The way I've been feeling about this race this season, I was fuming last year because the only bet I had on Album Photo was at the beginning of the season. He was 33-1, and I had him in a double with a horse that didn't even run at the festival. I just left him alone, never got in. There was something I saw about him in the RSA when he fell behind Presenting Percy that just made me think he'll be one that's better in a couple of seasons maybe. So I was hoping that he wouldn't win last year. I'd get stuck into him this year. Same story with Espoir de Lamb when he won the Champion Hurdle. He won it a year too early for me. But he just looked so good at Tremor. Well, yesterday, as we're talking about this now, he deserves to be favourite. I think he probably maybe even deserves to be shorter than 5-1. Clan des Obeaux was obviously very good in the King George. I actually thought he ran very well in the Gold Cup last year. The fact that something like Santini's still only 10-1, I know he's had a quiet little bit of preparation. There hasn't really been any problems with him, but it just doesn't really inspire me to be getting stuck into any particular horse in this race. But, I mean, if I was given a £1,000 free bet to back anything, I would be sticking on Album Photo. I think he is the one to beat. Darryl, what do you make of it?
I think he was impressive again, coming out first time this season. I've really liked it. He deserves to be at the head of the market. Ken Boy was a little bit disappointing, if I'm being honest. I did say that I think Ken Boy's year might have been last year. I think that might have been the time for him. Not really anything he's done really warrants him to be as short as he is, to be honest, Ken Boy. Now, I was a massive fan for him for this race last year, obviously. But, yeah, I think Album Photo definitely deserves the head to market. I couldn't have Clan des Obeaux. I couldn't have Clan des Obeaux at 40-1 for this race, let alone a favourite in some places or joint favourite of Album Photo in some places. I just couldn't have him. We've got to learn our lesson with these horses. Like Clan des Obeaux's great at Kempton in the King George. Mate, he's not a Cheltenham horse. He doesn't want that track. He's just a short, sharp, flat track for Clan des Obeaux. Yeah, he's brilliant. Cheltenham, no.
I don't know, but I thought he ran well enough last year, considering all those things. Like, I agree, the track's not his, all that sort of stuff. I thought he ran well enough last year to suggest that, given the fact that he was only a 7-year-old running them, I would say that he could improve a few lengths from last year. The problem is he's got 11 lengths to find on Album Photo. So I agree he is definitely probably too short and he might not be winning it, but he's nowhere 40-1 short.
Oh mate, I'm just saying I couldn't back him I wouldn't back him at 40-1.
You would. if he was 40-1, you'd have a tenner each.
I honestly wouldn't. He's got no chance. He's got absolutely no chance.
Fair enough.
Lost in Translation, I'd give a chance to. I think he's a fair price now at 8-1, 9-1. Obviously, something was a miss at Kempton. That track was never really. Well, I mean, we mentioned about it. All his runs have come on galloping tracks. It just looked like half a yard off the pace the whole time. Similar to that when Altior ran against Surname, just looked half a yard off the pace. I'm not entirely sure that was his true running. 8-1's fair for him. I thought he was too short before. Delta Works, really interesting. Really, I've flickered back and forward with Delta Work.
Yeah,
I mean, I was mad keen on him one after the RSA last year. I thought he was given a bad ride, really, by Davy Russell in the RSA. I thought he should have just gone on and started clearing away instead of waiting. I think he lost that race. I think he was the better horse to come out of that race, if I'm being honest. I still think he's better than Top of the Game. I know Top of the Game's not around, but I do think he is the one that could step up to the plate. I would prefer him over the likes of Santini, Presenting Percy, Clan des Obeaux. I think he's a good price at 10-1. I do really like him for it. Course experience, I like him for it.
And he was quite a small horse last year as well, because he was going into the RSA. He was only at 6-year-old, all stats, all those sort of things. And he was. I didn't really get to notice too much at Leopardstown to compare him for size or whatever, but it'll be very interesting seeing him on the day at Cheltenham to see how he compares against the other horses now, because he looked like he needed to grow a bit, and if he has,
he did, yeah, he definitely did. It might have come a year. The RSA might just been, you know what I mean? That race at Cheltenham might have been a year too soon for him. This could be his year. He's improved dramatically from debut. Now, we sort of all knew he was going to improve for that debut run. He did the season before. But if he comes on again for that Savills Chase win, I think he's got to be a massive player. I think
the extra couple of furlongs worry you a bit or not?
Oh, I think it's going to suit him, if anything. I think it's going to benefit him. I think he's an engine. I think he's very good. I just concerns me. I'd like to see him jumping again. I'd like to see him out once more, just to make sure that jumping is it was just a debut thing or a bit of a rusty thing. But I'd like to see him out again. But I think he's got a massive chance. I know Presenting Percy caught the eye in the Savills Chase. He was given a little bit too much to do, I felt, but he didn't stay on as strongly as I thought he would. Coming over the last, it seemed a bit flat. I think his time's gone. What about you? Where'd you stand on Monolly?
It's just doesn't stay, and it's not good enough. So it doesn't stay like a Gold Cup trip, a 3 mile properly, and it's not good enough to win over short. It's not good enough, is it? Great horse. Yeah, and it is triplets. Native River's interesting for me, like being like quieter campaigns.
Oh dear. Move on.
You've got to put your 2 cents in for this race, Jamie. You're Delta work all over it, yeah?
If I'm just looking at the prices here, you have to be impressed with Abu 40 yesterday. Yeah, look, still the horse to beat if you think about it. I'm really disappointed with Kenboy. I really was disappointed with him. I got your theory that he doesn't jump well enough to probably win the Gold Cup. Candace over was no chance. Lost in translation. I was disappointed in King George. I give him another chance. You have to see how Santini. I presume Santini probably go Denman to before thing. But yeah, I'm really a massive fan of Delta War. I think the faster they go, it'll even be better. Like I thought last year's RSA was a 40-run race. It went so slow, and it was a sprint up the hill. Davy Russell, what was he doing? Exactly what Darrell said. He should have gone on and just say good luck. By Lost Translation, top of the game. Over Delta Work each way. Was he 10-1? He's my selection at the moment, but they still all have to beat Album Photo.
Yeah, to be honest with you, you've got it spot on there, Jamie. That it is. Darryl, you've gone with the same thoughts as well. The only reason why I'll mention Native River again is the Denman Chase, where Lost in Translation is going to have to run because he needs to have another run after that Pants performance. Native River's got to run there because he'll need another run before Cheltenham. Now, obviously, Colin Tiz are putting 2 up against each other. Might not happen, all those bits and pieces. But Colin Tiz doesn't care what trip he runs them, who he runs them against, what day, any of that sort of stuff. Just picture in your head Native River that's hacked up in a Denman Chase the last twice, beats Lost in Translation. Now, not necessarily because Lost in Translation's good or anything like that, or maybe there's something wrong with him, but Native River goes and spanks Lost in Translation. Native River could be going off single figures on the day. 20-1 just looks too big to me, but I'm useless in the Gold Cup, so don't listen to me.
You're playing the trading game though, aren't you? You're playing the trading game there from 20-1 into single figures, trading him off. But is he the most likely winner of the Gold Cup?
Is he the most likely?
Do you ever think Cotton Tizard might bring Native River over for the Irish Hennessy on Dublin Racing Weekend, the old Irish Hennessy, and if it's a complete bomb, I think he might bring him over and see if he might get one more grade 1 out of him, like something like that.
And that's the thing with Lost in Translation. I don't think he would have been going Denman Chase if the King George had gone to plan, but the fact that he's now going to think about that Lost in Translation, if he prefers that as a horse, that's the thing they might have to sacrifice Native River, mightn't they?
Well, he's going to have to run against Santini. We'll see how he's good. When Santini's one of the most impressive performances, or was that Newbury when he ran there in the Hennessy meet there 2 years ago?
And that's the 3 of them. Where are they going to go, the 3 of them?
He was most impressive. So, will they avoid each other again? You just don't know what those races like.
Is anyone concerned about the stride length on Lost in Translation, or is it just me being over analytic? His stride length's pretty short.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Have you watched him striding around? It doesn't look like a horse that's going to get 3 miles too, to me.
I think it's because of how they ran him when he was a youngster. So they ran him in the Supreme, didn't they? Then they ran him up against Blackhop in the Aintree in the Mersey Novices Hurdle. I think because they not forced him, because he ran over those quicker trips when he shouldn't have done. If you watch how he used to run when he was a novice in things like the Supreme, he looks like a dour stayer. And then if you watch what they've done to him now, they might have changed it a bit. But he definitely looked like a lengthy horse before. I haven't paid too much attention to him now, but it'd be interesting to go back and compare if that has really changed.
Yeah. Go and have a look. It just saying that caught my eye last time when it was Haydock behind Bristol, ahead of Bristol de Mai. Just the stride length. If you compare that to the likes of an album photo or a Delta work, or just looks like it's a grabby action, a short grabby action. You know, like he was in the J. It was quite visible in the JLT. He was like that, and he just couldn't move his legs quick enough. Just assumed that he wanted to go out and trip, but I don't know. There's something niggling me about Lost in Translation. The fact that everyone loves him as what thinks he can win the race as well is another worry. But
it does get like that, doesn't it? So we've done the Gold Cup now. We've completed that. Native River has just beaten Delta Work in a photo for second after Album Photo wins by 30 lengths. So if we haven't got it right in the Gold Cup, which obviously we have, and if we haven't got it right in the Triumph or the Albert Bartlett or the County Hurdle, don't worry, because Darryl Carter has the nap of the festival in the Grand Annual.
Oh, he gets us out of trouble, boys. Magic Saint. Honestly, I knew you was going to say that, but Magic Saint. God, Paul Nicholls keeps running him over 2 miles 4. He knows damn well what he's doing here. The way he travelled yesterday yesterday through the race, and then just blew up, like coming down to the second last. Oh, it just screamed Grand Annual. He did exactly the same after a 208-day break as well at Cheltenham behind Happy Diva and the Bet Victor. Just blew up, just come there tanking, and just don't get that. He just doesn't get that trip. The form of his Newbury run with Bundoran has obviously been franked, boosted. They finished well clear of the field there. He is going in with a high enough mark, but it just screams to you that this horse has got a big one in him. I think all roads now lead to the Grand Annual at Cheltenham. I really do. I think.
But are you not put off 9-2 favourite he was for the race last year, and he was well beaten, and twice since he's gone to Cheltenham and been well beaten? Does that not worry you a little bit?
How has he been well beaten? What, the twice we just mentioned about over 2 mile 4? Just don't get the trip.
He ran in the Grand Annual last year.
Yeah, I know, but he's not he's a completely different horse now this season. He's taken so much time to come to himself. He's a different horse, and he only weakened out the last 2 last year. He was still banging contention. I just think he might have had a bit of a wind problem or something. They gave him wind surgery since then. He just looks he's a horse that they've always fought a load of.
Yeah, I know.
I've fought a lot of this horse, and I just think he has Grand Annual written all over him. He's going to tank through the race, come there on the bridle, get us out of jail if the Gold Cup has not gone to plan.
I think as well at this point in time, 20-1 that's available, given the fact he went off as 9-2 favourite last year. If they come out as bullish about his chances as they did last season, obviously he's only going to go off shorter. So I just don't trust him around Cheltenham.
What?
But it's fine. It's your nap. I'm balls deep in it, obviously. Jamie, you got any thoughts on the race?
Well, I kind of agree with Darryl. It kind of reminds me of. Do you remember the year Next Sensation? Is it Next Sensation? Is it the fucking Next Sensation? Was it or someone went off like the clappers in the Grand Annual, got caught by a Gigginstown horse in the end. Next Sensation, the Scudamore horse, right? He was like 4-1 favourite for that year, right? And then the following year, unfancy, nowhere to be seen all year. Then he rocks up and wins the Grand Annual the following year after being favourite the year before. So, kind of screams that to me with Magic Saint. Like, he travelled like a good thing yesterday. The only other horse, I suppose, at the top of the market is Lisp. They could be, like, they're probably going for the bonus. Like, you run the Plumpton, you get that 60 grand bonus. But after that, looking at it, it's actually poor.
It's not a great race. He's been running in better races as it stands, obviously, at the minute. He's been running in better races, more competitive races already this season.
Yeah, but looking at the horses priced up there, they're all running against each other before, and they're all fucking over the top horses. So unless something comes in off the radar as a novice, like things not being priced up yet, the horse of Skelton, they target the race too. What's his name? Newbie Negra. I'd be interested in him because I think he needs a good gallop, and to get him home, like he's not going to win an Arkle. So you can see him coming here, like. So he's not been priced up yet. But after that, there's only like 12 horses being priced up on Oddschecker.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot in there, is there, for clues this far out? List that you've mentioned there, I do like the look of him. He's, 140 something, mid 140s, I think, over fences. He's run well enough around Cheltenham as well. It's just the handicaps at Cheltenham. They're the last thing that I typically look at. I normally wait for the entries to come out, and we'll keep an eye on the weights, all those bits and pieces. The beauty of it is when it's 20-1 bar is that when you hear whispers or you get someone that makes a strong case for something like Daryl's just done there, you could end up back in 3 or 4 of these at 20-1, and the same as you would be doing Stephen into a 4 or 5-1 shot. So don't be afraid of backing a couple in there, but I'd be waiting until nearer the time. Although I'm going to have to back Magic Saint now, anyway.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing Magic Saint continue to run over 2.5 miles up until the festival, because he doesn't stay that trip and he travels well all the time. So they're getting away with running him over that sort of trip and then back to 2 miles for the Grand Annual. Yeah,
because they probably hope to get him down a couple of pounds. We'll see what happens. What happens Tuesday after that Old Grangewood run? If they could get him under 150, which means £6 has got to drop Tuesday or the time after, that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Exactly, yeah. But it would worry me if they were to run him over 2 miles next time.
Back him then, didn't we? Back him next time he goes over 2 miles, maybe then.
Yeah, depending on what he runs. But
next time you see him in over 2 miles, it'll be the Grand Annual.
That's the plan. So we've got the Grand Annual covered. Then we've got to move on to the Gordon Elliott Charity Foundation race. Martin Pipe. There's always a few in here that I get excited about that might go in. There's a couple of races coming up in the next few weeks that have a little line in for it. I had Colin Maffei penned for this a long way out, but don't feel like that's working out too well. I reckon that's got a bit of a squeak, but this will be... What's that?
Port Rush 10, 25-1. Get on.
Tell you what, we do like Port Rush, Ted. Nice horse, all those bits and pieces, but I think the time to get him was today. He's going to get put up a fair bit, I think, for that run.
Yeah.
I think he likes it around Cheltenham. The trip wouldn't be a concern, all those bits and pieces, but yeah, this would definitely be one that I'd be waiting until much nearer the time. Although now you said that, I might have a little poke on the 25s, put some of today's winnings on him just for banter. Anything you like in it, Daryl?
I've had a few whispers about this. I like the way you're thinking.
Yeah.
I've had a fair few whispers about. I'm just actually having a look at him now because I haven't had a chance really to look at this race. But it just depends on what happens between now and the race day. This is so fine margins in these handicaps that you've just got to be very careful, haven't you? Yeah. I mean, I'm a massive fan of Bold Plan. I thought he had tons in hand the last day. I'm just trying to, at the moment, I'm just trying to work out where their targets are before the festival. Do you know what I mean? Work out where they're likely to be in the handicap system. So I haven't got anything in this at the minute, but I've heard a lot of this different whispers. I've heard one for Colin Maffei. I've heard about Ciel Denise. I like the way you're thinking. Bold Plan, apparently this is the target. It's just interesting at the minute. It's a bit of a guessing game, but I haven't got nothing now down there.
And I think it's one of them that you can keep, like I say, keep an eye on the market when the entries come out, the weights come out, all those bits and pieces. You see a couple of them getting back that look like the obvious ones, like an Elliott horse. Just back them at 16, get 3 of them in your book. Jamie, is there anything you like or fancy in here?
There is one that, remember we mentioned there the last day that was going to run at Limerick. I just see him here, prices came up there. Is a horse, Willie Mullins, called Quartz to Row. Very interesting if we ran here. A lot of graded novice back form from the summer of last year. That's about really at the moment. Like, I heard Bard, the Glen Lows and the Off You Goes and all this top jobs. I've heard since Galway in the summer, this, I like the way you're thinking, is a complete plot job for it. Like,
Yeah.
And no better man for. But you'd wait for another while till you get more entries. Obviously, the entries have to come out yet. But at the moment, I like the way you're thinking. Yeah, I've been told to back this horse months and months ago, and he'd be my selection at the moment. Now that could change now in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And Quartz Three, well worth mentioning again. He did run over Christmas, was behind Fury Road. I thought he ran well enough. That was over 2 miles 7. He'll be dropped back in trip. Another JP horse. Probably managed to get a good boy on him, so he could definitely win. I think he's 136 rated, so he looks slight enough. So that concludes the Friday. That means we've completed officially the first 2020 Cheltenham Festival preview. I'm going to stick up some selections and some bet suggestions for anyone that's been watching each of the episodes. And really just thank you for your time, guys, and we'll catch up again soon.